Well, I've written an article in which I compared Jesus with several other prominent religious leaders and philosophical leaders, for example, Socrates, Buddha, Zoroaster, Muhammad, and so forth. And I pointed out that, for one thing, we do have excellent sources about the life and teachings of Jesus. Now, in the case of Socrates, we do have the memorabilia of two of his disciples, Plato and Xenophon, so those are very good sources. But in the case of the other religious leaders, for example, Buddha lived about the 6th century BC. We don't get any written sources about Buddha until centuries after, and they're mainly legendary. In the case of Zoroaster, he may have lived about 1000 BC, or others think he lived about 600 BC. Now, only a very few Zoroastrian scriptures can be attributed to the prophet himself, namely what are called the Gathas. But much about the life of Zoroaster is enshrined in very late legendary materials. Now, in the case of Muhammad, we do have his words in the Quran, and we have traditions about him. But the life of Muhammad was not written until about 150 years after his death, something called the Sirat al-Rasul, the life of the prophet, and that uses material from the Quran and the traditions called the Hadith. So the historical evidence for the religious leaders varies. Very good for Socrates and Muhammad, not very good for Buddha or Zoroaster, but excellent for Jesus, because we have the words of Jesus, the deeds of Jesus, from those who were intimately acquainted with Jesus. And certainly from Paul, who was a convert to the Christian faith early in the 1st century.